Hi, my name is Justine Jones and this is my brand new podcast, Starting Over, where I will be meeting celebrities, everyday people and experts and finding out what happened in their life when they needed to start over. We'll be giving you lots of advice on sobriety, on starting a new career, relationship breakdowns. There's so much to unpack here. I hope you can join us whether you need to start over or whether you just want to tune in. Please join us on this new podcast. A huge thank you to the sponsor of this series, Lost Sheep Coffee, who have provided us with the most amazing mocha iced coffees, lattes, and they also do their own coffee beans. Give them a like and a follow, because without them, this podcast wouldn't be possible, and they're fabulous. On today's episode of Starting Over, we're going to delve into the world of skincare.
Oh God.
The industry right now is so saturated. So I've got with me Sophie, who's a clinical pharmacist and has a very, very keen interest in dermatology. So,
hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
I'm just looking at your beautiful shiny skin and I cannot wait to get all your tips.
Let's do it.
Right.
Here we go.
Now, when you go into the supermarket, when you go into a department store, if you go online and you type in anti-aging skincare, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
There's a world out there, isn't it? We've got retinol, we've got polynucleotides, we've got vitamin C, hyaluronic acid, serums, collagen, moisturisers, SPFs. Now, if you're going to put all those on your skin, you're going to need to get up 2 hours earlier in the morning. What should we be spending on? What should we be saving on? Which one is really going to make the difference? Mm-hmm. And how do you get your skin to look that good?
So you are right. It is a minefield. And I think the skincare industry is worth billions and it's growing every single year. And I think for the general public, it's overwhelming. And I think when we're overwhelmed, sometimes we make bad choices. And I think there's a lot of people out there that has an opinion on skincare. I personally, and it's easy for me to say this, I've been working with skin and skincare for over 20 years. And even I get overwhelmed. And I find it really difficult to understand how there's so many products, because ultimately with skincare, there's very few products that actually work. And when you take maybe 20 products that actively cause changes in the skin, and then you walk into a supermarket and there's thousands to choose from, It is overwhelming. And I think you could take 10 products, for example, that contain the same percentage of an ingredient, analyze them in a laboratory setting, and they would all have different efficacies on the skin.
Would they?
All have different efficacies. Because it's not as simple as just looking at the ingredient or the percentage. It's about the formulation. So ultimately, skin is really simple. All it wants to do is to keep everything out and keep everything in. And as we age, it inherently gets lazy, so it doesn't want to look glowy, it doesn't want to kind of rejuvenate. The skin cell turnover in a child is as early as sometimes 6 to 12 weeks, and as we get older, especially after the age of 35 to 40 and perimenopause, it can slow down, so your skin cell turnover can be as slow as sometimes 50 weeks.
What?
Yeah. So ultimately, anti-aging, and I hate to use the term anti-aging because I'm really pro-aging. Aging is a luxury, isn't it? And I think when we get to the age of in our 40s, everybody's been through some rubbish.
And we're lucky to be here, let's be honest.
We're so lucky to be here. And I think there's a massive stigma around skincare. It's almost as if you start talking about anti-aging, you should be ashamed. You know, I do feel that a lot. And I think that stops people from talking about it. You know, what skincare do you use? What do you use to make your skin look like that? It's almost as if we don't want to admit that we have these concerns about our skin.
And it's cool to say, I'm just going to age gracefully. And I get that. And lots of people do. There's lots of, actors and actresses who say they're going to age gracefully, and they do, and they look fab. But then when you sit them next to somebody who's maybe had a bit of work done, and then it becomes a competition. But we're all here to look our best for ourselves.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to health. So I mean, obviously I work in the dermatology and aesthetic industry, and I think the aesthetic industry has a horrendous reputation, and sometimes I feel like deservedly so. And that's a whole other conversation that we could probably talk about for an hour.
I know you're very, very high up on people
doing treatments, they shouldn't be doing treatments.
Yes,
But
and I think that
we'll
is
do another
part
pod
of
on
the
that.
problem. I think that's part of the problem because people are anxious that if they start to talk about aesthetic medicine or talk about anti-aging, that means that they don't want to age gracefully. I'm hugely pro-aging, and I think the way you need to think about your skin is the same way you think about everything else. So we go to the gym and we work out to keep our bodies and our hearts healthy. We read and we educate ourselves to keep our minds healthy. But it seems to be this taboo subject that we should just allow our skin to age gracefully. Okay, that's fine, but skin deteriorates over time. We know that we lose about 1 to 2% of our collagen per year after the age of 20. Can you imagine if that was muscle mass?
Yeah.
If we lost 1 to 2% of our muscle mass every year after the age of 20, we would be, deservedly and kind of rewarded for working out and training and making sure that that didn't happen. But yet we're expected, especially as women, I think, to just accept that deterioration in our skin is an acceptable thing. Whereas, we read and educate ourselves for our minds. We need to stimulate our skin. It gets lazy, it wastes away, it becomes poorer quality as we age. So by the time we hit our mid-40s, mid-50s, our skin is actually, what we're seeing on the surface of the skin is probably 10 to 20 years of deterioration. So when we start to look at skincare, it's something we should be talking to our teenagers about, because it certainly is something that's rife on TikTok. And I think people are starting to make wrong decisions as well as right ones. Yeah. But ultimately, it's really simple. We need to protect from damage, and that is with mainly an SPF. So SPF is hugely important. I am on the side of the fence of use it. For sure, it doesn't cause skin cancer. The leading cause of skin cancer is UV damage. So if you had to pick between the two, I would always pick SPF to protect my skin. The other way we can protect it is using an antioxidant. So ascorbic acid is the most studied. Ascorbic acid is the most studied and evidence-based antioxidant available for our skin. So it is a antioxidant, so it basically mops up all the environmental damage that is caused by day-to-day life. So environmental factors, the sun, pollution, all causes inflammation and oxidization in our skin. So we put ascorbic acid on it and it goes around like a little magic molecule and mops up all of the kind of oxidative inflammatory particles that are happening in the skin. Ascorbic acid is extremely effective and extremely unstable. So in the presence of air and water, it oxidizes within hours. So ascorbic acid is a super ingredient. So when we start looking at skincare ingredients, when we start looking at serums versus moisturizers, serums are where you should be spending your money on. Ascorbic acid is where you should be spending your money on.
Right.
It goes around, it does lots of things. So you're using ascorbic acid at the moment?
No, do you know what? I've written my little list here, right, of what's on the shelf and what do I pick out of these? And you've just picked a word you've added to the list of some. I've never heard of that.
So antioxidants are hugely important. And I think going back to basics, it's really hard. I feel like I've run away with myself a little bit here because it's really hard when you get someone who doesn't use any products and they're kind of like, what do I do? Where do I start? Wash your face. Save your money on washing your face. Whatever face wash you want to choose, as long as it's not abrasive and contains microparticles, that's fine.
So we can save a bit of money on the face wash.
You can save your money on your face wash. In an ideal world, double cleanse. Okay, so be using a balm. I personally love a certain balm.
I know the one you're talking about. Okay. Yeah, you can say it.
Elemis.
Yeah, 100%.
Elemis cleansing balm is amazing. And what you do is you use that first to take off all the kind of like makeup, all of the oils and all of the pollution that sits on the top of the skin. And then you would wash your face then with a proper face wash. And you can definitely save your money there. Next step, an acid.
Okay.
Should be using an acid on your skin.
Is that like a sort of wipe over the skin, or does that sit on the skin?
It should be a toner.
Okay.
So I personally like acids to be applied as toners. Are you using an acid, Justine?
No, I'm not.
So we should be washing our face and then use an acid. And by using an acid, what you're doing is you're breaking down the kind of bonds between the skin cells, which allows the dead keratin layer on the outside to shed off. So that will allow the kind of healthy skin to come through. So you're not getting this kind of matte effect on your skin.
That's what I get a lot. Like I'll
need
see
an
footage
acid.
back if I've been filming. I'm like, oh my gosh, I look crispy.
Crispy.
I look dry and crispy.
And that's probably because your keratin layer is thick. You know, the dead layer of our skin, that's what your skin wants to do. It just wants to produce a lovely, big, thick layer of keratin to keep everything out and everything
Ascorbic
in.
acid on the shopping list.
Acid. So ascorbic acid, when you get to your acids, you're using your toners, but you're using your alpha hydroxy or beta hydroxy acids.
Okay.
First in a toner. I feel like I've confused you already.
No, it's fine. I got it, I promise.
So you're using your toners and acidic acid, and especially if you've got breakouts. So if you get congestion, lots of spots, you should be using an acidic toner. That lowers the pH of the skin and allows it to shed off. It also controls oil production. After that is where you put your serums on.
Okay.
And your serums are highly concentrated formulations, and serums are more important than moisturiser.
Okay.
So if you're going to invest in any money, you should be spending your money on your serums.
And serum with what in it? Or is it just called serum?
So serum is basically a name for concentrated formulation. So it is a water or a lipid based. It doesn't really matter. If you were struggling with congestion, go for a more water based formulation. And your serum is where all your anti kind of aging, or I like to say pro-aging ingredients sit. And in there, you should be looking, depending on what your skin concerns are. So ascorbic acid is suitable, and I love it for everybody. Especially when we enter the perimenopausal age.
Oh, I'm there.
Yeah, I had a hysterectomy back in June, so my ovaries like a backfiring car. So I'm kind of really struggling at the moment to kind of, compensate for that estrogen loss, because, it has a huge, profound effect on your skin. So your ascorbic acid can help because it goes around and mops up all the things that cause inflammation. It prevents production of melanin, so it helps with pigmentation.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and it's really, really good in terms of improving the quality and tone of your skin. Right. So ascorbic acid in your serum for sure. The issue with ascorbic acid is it's expensive.
Is it? Okay.
It's expensive because it's so unstable. It oxidizes in the presence of water and air. So, I get so frustrated. And I give an example. You'll go into a shop and you'll have, say, 30 serums that'll say ascorbic acid on them. Ascorbic acid has to be in a special delivery system. So the reason you're spending your money is it has to be protected from air and water prior to being put on the skin.
So I'm not getting this in the supermarket.
You're not getting this in the supermarket. No. It's really important in this situation that the delivery system is more of a consideration than the ingredient itself. So in ascorbic acid, ideally between about 10 to 20%. That's what you're looking for in terms of the ingredient. And it needs to be in a packaging that protects it from the air. The minute that ascorbic acid turns brown, so if you have a cream or a serum containing ascorbic acid, it starts to go that kind of browny orange colour, don't use it. At that point, it's actually harmful. So it's oxidized into its inactive form, and it's actually then pro-inflammatory. So it's going to cause inflammation. It's going to cause problems on your skin. So with ascorbic acid, you need to be buying it from a really reputable company, and you can't just whack it in any old cream. One of the problems with the skincare industry is that I could decide to make a skincare product tomorrow. I could go along to a lab. I could say I want to make an ascorbic acid cream. All I need to do is sprinkle a little bit of orange peel into my cream. Yes. And dermatologically tested, I think it's one patient.
So when you see this is our
perimenopausal brain.
Yeah,
right
that's my perimenopausal brain. When you see that could be tested on one
person. And for me to say I have an ascorbic acid product, I just need to squeeze a bit of orange juice in there, give it a stir, and off I go.
And you get the stamp.
Yeah. So as the consumer, you need to be thinking, right, ascorbic acid, this is a tip-top ingredient for me. I'm going to go for ascorbic acid. I've got pigmentation. I've got pores. I feel like, I'm starting to show signs of premature aging. I've got fine lines and wrinkles. Ascorbic acid is your baby. But it's expensive. And if you're going to be buying an expensive product, it only really lasts about 30 to 60 days, like I said, because once it starts to oxidize and go brown is when you lose the effectiveness. But it is the gold standard in terms of what you want to see in your skincare and your skin serums.
But so looking around the whole skincare regime that we should be doing, can we save on the other products but spend on the acid?
On your ascorbic acid, 100%.
Ascorbic acid, that's what we should be spending on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always say to my patients, my clients that come in, bring your products in. Let's go through it, sift through the good and the bad and the ugly. You can buy any old skin wash if you want to. That's fine. Okay? I don't really care as long as it's not abrasive and acidic. That's fine. Your toners, for example, am I allowed to talk about brands?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I love Pixie Glow from, I think they stock it in M&S. They've got a really lovely glycolic acid toner. It's really lovely. So you're using that basically to
that's
take
good to know.
off.
I see that all the time in M&S and I've never
And I
tried
think it's
it.
about £15.
Oh, wow,
Yeah,
that's really
I think
good
it's
value.
really affordable. So when you're looking for your kind of toner, you need to be using an acid.
Okay.
Alpha hydroxy or beta hydroxy, you're looking for salicylic, glycolic acid or lactic acid. If you've got dry skin, go for your lactic acid because it's a bit more moisturising. Use that as a toner, take off all the dead skin cells. You've then got a perfect base for things to be absorbed.
And what's next?
Your ascorbic acid.
Okay.
I know. You're looking at me as if like there's a lot of acid going on here.
Acid. I know that word acid like terrifies me because when you first see it, it's like, put this acid on your face and like straight away I think my face is going to burn.
Acid is so good. If I could only have one thing, if I had to go to a desert island, I think I'd probably take my ascorbic acid.
Really?
Yeah, 100% sure. 100%.
And then, so after we've done that, what's the next step?
Well, going quickly to budget, because if you've got your ascorbic acid, this is your gold standard, okay? But you're going to be spending in excess, realistically, of £60 on an ascorbic acid
And how
product.
long is that going to last, that £60?
Yeah,
pot?
about 30 to 60, 90 days max, depending on the delivery system. So the next option you've got, if you couldn't afford that, so if you can't afford an ascorbic acid, your next best bet is something like your azelaic acid or your niacinamide. So both are, your azelaic acid is going to offer some antioxidant benefits as well. It's much more affordable. It's obtained from barley. It's really stable compared to ascorbic acid. So if ascorbic acid is your gold standard, your first choice, if you can't have that, look for products with azelaic acid in.
Azelaic
acid. And that's
how are we spelling that?
AZ. Oh, oh my God, now
I
you've
put it on
thrown
the
me.
spot now.
AZE as Laic acid. Can I do that at the end?
Yeah, we'll do
I
that
can see
after.
it in my brain.
We'll put it in the
We'll
comments
put it in the
below,
comments. But that's really good. It's also really stable. So don't push yourself to go for a cheaper range ascorbic acid.
Okay.
You're better off going for a azelaic acid.
Okay.
It's a really good antioxidant. You know, ferulic acid the same. They're all antioxidants that are going to help your skin. They're not as good as ascorbic acid, but when it comes to budget, they are much, much more affordable. You're probably talking about 20 quid for a serum. I think The Ordinary actually has a ferulic acid serum that's like...
The Ordinary is pretty good. I've used that over the years, actually.
Some of their products are really good. They used to be better than they are now. I think they were bought out a few years ago and
that's
things
a
have
shame.
changed. Yeah. But, you know, you're going to get a good product and that's your antioxidant product that's going to prevent deterioration of the skin. Okay, so you're saving on your skin wash. You're saving on your toner. Ideally, you're spurging on your serum.
Yeah. Okay.
For sure.
And then what's next after that?
So so you can add it in if you want to, or you can use it in replace of, is niacinamide.
Okay.
Super ingredient, niacinamide. And I think there's a product, right, called Freedom, which is marketed for acne because azelaic acid is...
I've seen this.
Yeah, niacinamide is amazing for acneic skin because it's a water-soluble product, but it prevents transdermal water loss. So when you put it on the skin, it kind of forms a bit of a barrier and prevents water loss. So people with oily skin or with acne, they don't necessarily want to put more oil and more kind of heavy stuff on their skin, which is a huge problem at the moment with our teens, as I'm seeing kind of much younger people now developing issues with their skin. So niacinamide is a super ingredient. It's basically B3 and it is a super product. It prevents pores, it improves pigmentation, it boosts vibrancy, helps with collagen production. So niacinamide is a super ingredient for me and it's super affordable. If you are in the perimenopausal phase where you're starting to see that kind of degradation, fine lines, get some niacinamide in your skincare.
I need that. I've definitely got pores. That's been one thing in the last year for me. I've noticed pores. Pores between my eyes and just there, definitely sort of between my eyes there and onto just above my eyebrows, I've noticed.
Yeah, so...
Is that aging?
It is aging, but it can be caused by product use as well because our skin is a living, breathing thing. And when we go slapping loads of crap on our skin. Sometimes we occlude it. It can't breathe. So the oil that's in the skin is trying to get out, understandably, because the skin naturally hydrates itself. And then if we're putting on loads of occlusive, thick products, that oil can't get out. So the pores open and they open and they open and they open to be able to allow for the secretion of the sebum. They are very resistant to treat. And it is a combination of therapies. Your alpha hydroxy acid or salicylic acid toners, so your Pixie Glows, things like that, your Bright and Clears from Illumia.
One to M&S on the way home tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Will help. Okay, so they're going to help with your pore closure. Niacinamide, ascorbic acid, definitely going to help with your pore closure. And treatments. Okay. So anything that's going to kind of stimulate the skin to heal, so your microneedling, things like that are going to really hugely help with your pores as well. But you've got to think that your skincare is like your toothbrush and your professional is like your dentist. And if you had to give up one, you're not giving up your toothbrush.
No. It's what you do every single morning and night, isn't it?
So it's a real issue where patients are really flippant with their skincare. They think that they don't have to spend much, they don't have to do much. You know, loads of people wake up, they just wash their face and go, and then they will say, I've got these issues. So it's finding things that work. So your alpha hydroxy acid, salicylic acid toners, and your antioxidants.
I need to get on the acids, don't I?
Yeah, and the freedom.
It does bother me, you know.
Yeah, get some freedom with niacinamide in.
Right, I'm getting that as well.
Really
I'm
nice.
going to M&S for my Pixie Glow.
Yeah, get your Pixie Glow.
You wait till you see me next.
Bright and Clear as well, the toner from Illumia. That's really lovely. I love that. But price comparison-wise, I think Pixie Glow, and I could be way out here, I think it's about 15, 16, 17, 18 pounds. Your Bright and Clear from your Illumia is going to be about 35, 40.
Okay.
And the reason that the price difference, I mean, people talk about medical grade skincare.
Yes.
It's a bone of contention with me.
Medical grade skincare, does that mean you have to go to a professional to buy it?
No. So medical grade skincare sits a little bit uncomfortably with me because ultimately if anything is not available on a prescription, it's a cosmetic, it's a dermaceutical, so it's a cream. So medical grade skincare is something I think that we as professionals decided to come up with so that we could maybe, I say this quite loosely, lull patients into us to say, you should buy medical grade skincare. You need to be buying this medical grade skincare from us. It's just a word that we use for skincare that we feel has more data to support its use.
Okay.
So it's either a cosmeceutical or it's a prescription product. Yeah? There's two things.
Yeah.
Something that's available on prescription is a medical product. Medical grade skincare is just something that's maybe higher concentration. It's got data to support its use. For example, I love Illumia. Okay, they market themselves, I think, as, I don't know if they do say medical grade, but they certainly are only available through professionals. The reason for that is they like to keep themselves, you know, kind of at the top of their game. So they want the right
elite,
products.
Isn't it?
Yeah, but it's also the right products, because if you use the wrong products, it could be the best product in the world, but if it's not right for your skincare, you're going to get awful results.
So you'd only be able to buy that from a professional, and then obviously you're getting the advice. So I'd come to you,
Yeah, so
you'd have a good
right
look at my skin and go, right, you need this, this and this, because these are your problems. Instead of me going to the shelf on my own and just picking up what I fancy.
Absolutely. And I would always encourage people to go and see someone. And that's not just because I want them to come and see me or go and see somebody else. It's because then you're using the right products. Yeah. And I think we've all been there, haven't we? Where we've just wasted so much money.
Oh my gosh, I've got boxes of makeup and skincare. That honestly, I think probably if you added up, there's probably about £5,000 worth of products from over the years of things that I've tried and gone, oh, that doesn't suit me. In the box it goes. Oh, that's giving me a rash. Oh, that's giving me pimples.
Yeah. And you do need to give good quality skincare time. Like when we go back to medical grade, for example, often it's just that they're good ingredients, good concentrations. For example, retinol. Okay. So retinol is a buzzword. It's trending, but also
very much so.
Also, it is hugely variable. Okay, so it's a vitamin A derivative, probably one of the most widely studied topical products that we put on our skin. It works. The evidence to support the use of retinol is profound. We have loads of robust data. It works. It prevents skin degradation. It improves pigmentation. It prevents anti-aging. It improves collagen synthesis. All of the kind of things that we want, especially as we age. The issue with retinol is it comes with side effects. So, for example, the concentration of the retinol isn't as important as the formulation, a bit like with our ascorbic acid serums, because it's a tricky old thing. I've got a love-hate relationship with retinol. Most of the creams that you can buy on the shelf will have a retinol derivative in them, which is converted in the skin to retinoic acid in its active form. They're often combined with fat, so it makes them a lot more kind of palatable for people, so they don't cause redness, they don't cause flaking. You know, I'll have patients come in and say, well, I'm using a retinol and I put it on every single night religiously and I do not notice a difference. It ain't working.
Why?
Because it's not working, because retinol causes cell proliferation. So I can only use retinol twice a week. If I use it more than twice a week, I get red, flaky skin, because that's what it's meant to do. It causes stimulation and production of skin cells. Okay. So if you imagine your skin.
So you want a reaction from this?
You want to find a balance.
Okay.
You need to find your way. Go low, go slow is the rule with retinol. Because if you had a 1% retinol from, say, you've gone into TK Maxx, you found this lovely little bit of packaging, it says 1% retinol, happy days, I get that. You're lathering on every single night. Retinol takes time. So skin cell turnover takes approximately 6 weeks minimum. So you're not actually going to see any benefits from that retinol for 4, 5, 6 weeks. Yeah. So if you have not seen an improvement in your skin, lathering that stuff on every single night, after 5 to 6 weeks, it ain't working.
Do you know, like, if I slap something on, if in 3 days I'm not seeing a massive difference,
No.
I'm like, oh, I give up.
No, retinol
is the long game.
It's the long game. It's the long game. And retinol does not need to be started. I mean, I had someone come to see me the other day and they said that their daughter was using retinol and she was 14.
Oh, my God.
No, because you don't need it. It speeds up skin cell turnover. So when our skin cell turnover starts to get sluggish, we start to see visual effects of that in our 30s, especially in our 40s. This is where retinol comes in. We need to keep our skin working. We don't want that kind of skin cell that's been sat there for 5, 6,
so
7, 8, 9.
What age for retinol?
30s plus.
30 plus, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And you put it on in the night and you should wash it off in the morning.
And it always says on the ones that I've bought, you have to use, you have to have your SPF on. If you're doing retinol and you're on holidays and you're sticking that on in the night and then going into the sun with nothing, you're going to burn, aren't you?
You're better off not using it, because new skin, so retinol causes skin cell production, ultimately, to make it really simple. And new skin cells have higher amounts of melanin in them, and they are more at risk of having post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation when they're exposed to the sun, so they turn brown. So when patients say, oh yeah, I use retinol, oh no, but I don't agree with an SPF, don't bother, hold off your retinol. They come as a pair, so it's either use retinol and an SPF or don't use retinol, because what's going to happen is you're going to get this beautiful new production of skin that's just going to be pigmented then the minute it's exposed to the sun. So you can prevent that by using, like we said, our ascorbic acids, our pigment controlling superpower, which is going to go around and basically inhibits the enzyme that produces melanin. So it's going to inhibit pigment production. But the best thing for that is SPF. So retinol without SPF is a no for me. It's either or.
I've got so much talking about pigmentation and SPF. Like, I remember going on holidays, anybody who was probably over 35 will remember that nobody really put sun cream on us, right? I remember being in Tenerife, I think, or Mallorca with my mum and dad, and sitting there shivering at dinner because I'd burnt so much. I had blisters. This makes me want to weep thinking of this. I had blisters under my eyes and my shoulders. Now, the shoulders I can deal with because your shoulders never wrinkle. They're great. The under of my eyes burning and blistering from sunburn.
You might pay for that one day.
Well, I think I already am.
I know. UV damage is the worst. I mean, I love the sun. Don't get me wrong. I'm like a lizard. I really think I might be cold-blooded. I could lie in it for days. But it is fundamentally the most damaging thing for your skin. The most, without hesitation or doubt, it is the worst thing
I
you could
lather
do.
SPF, and my mum's like, why are you putting SPF 50 on your face today going out in the sun? I'm like, because you didn't put sun cream on me, and now
Yeah.
I'm trying to reverse the aging effects.
Yeah, and it's not just this.
It wasn't just my mum, by the way. It was all the mums.
I think
we were
it's
always burnt as
yeah.
kids.
You were just sent out.
And
It's
my
kind of
mum's
like-
got ginger hair, so I'm freckly and fair. I've got blonde hair, but because I'm freckly and really fair, you know, I burn like a crisp very easily. And it's just like, oh my gosh, that damage. And it does worry me. And I do think I've probably got a lot of skin damage. But would I ever be able to reverse that?
Yeah, for sure. The skin's amazing.
Really?
Yeah, the skin's an amazing organ. It's amazing. And I think that when you've had a degree of sun damage, yes, you know, you are at higher risk of issues now because of the cells that were damaged, but the skin can regenerate itself. It heals. Think about a wound.
Yeah, of course.
If you cut yourself, it will heal that wound. The most damaging thing is the prolonged exposure. You know, prolonged exposure to UV rays. And UV rays are really pro-inflammatory. And we know that with pro-inflammatory is where cells can go wrong. So cells that are exposed, are constantly kind of inflamed, are more likely to turn into a malignant form or go wrong or
Right.
not operate properly. So it's not just because sometimes people will say, oh, well, I put SPF on when I go on holiday, but I don't bother every day. But it's not just the sun. It's not just about getting a tan. It's about the damage that's happened as a result. But you can regenerate the skin. Regeneration and support. So you basically cause trauma to regenerate the skin and then support it during the healing phase.
When you say trauma, do you mean sort of microneedling, microdermabrasion? What kind of treatments?
So skincare is your toothbrush. So you're using obviously your skincare to support it, mopping up your antioxidants, keeping it protected from the sun. Then to cause regeneration, anti-aging treatments, there's one thing and that's it. And it's causing damage, it's causing a controlled trauma response and aiding repair. And so when you look for aesthetic treatments like your microneedlings, your radiofrequency microneedling, your HIFU, what else is there now? You've got things like ultracell. There's so many names for them. Ultimately, they all fundamentally do the same thing in a slightly different way, and they cause trauma. They damage the skin. So your skin goes, oh my God, I've got a wound, I need to heal. And then you look after it during the healing phase. And what you feed it during that healing phase can help with the outcome of the recovery, so the kind of skin that's left at the end, but they all do the same thing.
So would I benefit, because of my skin damage from my childhood, would I benefit from a chemical peel where the sort of layer of my skin comes off?
Chemical peels were all the rage a few years ago and everybody was having them. And they work in a really good way in the sense that it's all about proliferation. So you want your skin to produce new skin. And a chemical peel works by taking off the dead layers. Your skin has a shock response and goes, oh God, I need to make new skin. Yeah. And that's what happens. People shy away from them now because of the downtime, basically, okay? So they cause shedding, they cause flaking. Patients still want downtime. So
I can't, this is my thing, because I'm self-employed and because I work in TV, I could get a call and they're like, oh, can you come and do something in 2 days? If I'm lying there like
because you have bits of skin hanging off your face.
In my skin.
Yeah, so I would always go for resurfacing. I always prefer laser. So laser is a more controlled method.
And I wouldn't have the downtime.
You'd have less downtime.
Okay.
Less downtime.
But is that more expensive than a chemical peel?
For sure.
Really? Like a lot more spendy.
And you do need to make sensible choices as well, because like retinols, like skincare products, not all are equivalent. So if I wanted to invest in a laser, I could buy one from China for £2,000. But the good ones are in excess of 60,000.
A good laser machine for you to buy.
Yeah. Yeah. So you do need to be careful. It's not as, and I think this is where the consumer needs to become savvy, because they look at price points. So they might look at a clinic and go, oh, they're offering laser for like £10. This clinic are offering it over there for £500. I'm not going to them. It's not that simple.
It's the quality you get.
It's the quality, yeah. So if you're going to damage your skin, do it right and do it in a really safe space where not only is it being damaged, so you're causing that trauma response, so your skin heals itself, you're in a really nurturing environment where you can be given the kind of topical products to nurture the skin as it heals.
So if we go through some products...
Yeah. A super sweep through them.
Yes. Retinol in my skincare regime.
Definitely. If you're going to use an SPF.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a spend. Spend on your retinol, get a great formulation, 100%
Can I
added in.
save a bit on my SPF, or does that
100% save on your SPF. I don't really care what SPF you use, just slap it on. If I if I was to choose, I'd choose obviously an organic one with zinc and titanium. You can get beautiful SPFs now that are tinted, offer a sheer, also contain antioxidants, but you don't have to.
Okay.
The main thing, slap it on, protect from the sun.
Wash, we said we can go save. Okay.
Yeah.
Toners?
Middle of the row, you could probably save. It's more the ingredients. Go for an alpha hydroxy if you've got dry skin, salicylic acid if you've got breakouts.
Okay. Hyaluronic acid, should that be in there somewhere?
Hyaluronic acid is really important in the skin, makes up about 50% of our skin in our bodies, and it's a really important ingredient, but it just moisturizes. It's not going to absorb, it's not going to prevent wrinkles, it's not going to go down to the dermis where it's going to cause anti-aging changes in the skin.
It's just nice for the skin.
It's just a moisturizer. If I was to choose between hyaluronic acid and a ceramide, I'd probably go for a ceramide just because it's a little bit more anti-aging and supportive of the skin barrier. So you wouldn't put both of those things on there.
Serums?
100%.
Spend on the serum.
Save on your moisturiser, spend on your serum.
Moisturiser you can save on.
Yeah, you might not even need it. If you're getting enough moisture from your serum, don't put moisturiser on.
Right, there's one other word which is everywhere. Collagen. Now, I put collagen powder in my coffee in the morning. I use the Will Powders, massive Will Powders fan. It's not an ad, but I just loved Vinia. She's fab and I love her brand. Yeah. So I put that in there. But I went to my mum's. My mum's got collagen shampoo and conditioner. She's doing the little sachets of the oil. You can get capsules. You can get collagen moisture. What is collagen and how should we be taking it?
Collagen is the most important protein of the skin. It is the most important structure of the skin.
And we lose it. That's the one we really lose.
2% per year after the age of 20. So by 40, we've lost a significant amount. But it's huge. It is never going through the skin. You will never get collagen through the skin. So do not buy collagen creams. You cannot microneedle it in. The only way to up your collagen in your skin is to upregulate it with treatments. Microneedling, ascorbic acid. Yeah, that's the only way.
What about the capsules and the powders and the oils?
Yeah, so collagen, the only evidence, and I say evidence quite loosely because there isn't huge amounts of support for oral collagen, but I do use it. But it has to be hydrolyzed marine collagen. Yeah. Bovine collagen, no evidence. Plant-based collagen, no evidence. Hydrolyzed marine collagen, there is some data that it does increase collagen production in the skin. Shampoo, no, never going to work. Your hair doesn't need collagen.
Oh,
I know.
I'll have to break it to my mum. Sorry. So what we'll do at the end of when we finish as well, and when you're looking at this, I will get Sophie to tag everything underneath, and maybe what you could do, which would be brilliant as well, if we put underneath on the YouTube and on all socials, on our Instagram, we'll put a spend and a save, and I'm going to get your top tips on brands as well. Yes. It won't be associated with a pod. It won't be being said because we're being paid for it. It will be your honest opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not affiliated with any brand, so absolutely, that's a great idea.
And last question. Yes. Will a cream or a serum or an acid ever get rid of a wrinkle, or is the only way you're going to get rid of a wrinkle is by Botox or filler? Being totally honest.
If you are in your 40s, you are going to need regeneration treatments to get rid of wrinkles.
What's a regeneration treatment?
Microneedling is my number one go-to. Really? If you are looking to enter the world of regeneration, start with microneedling. It's never a bad idea. Botox is obviously a prescription medicine, so it needs to be you need to go to someone who can prescribe it. What Botox does is it paralyzes the muscle. It does nothing to the skin if we're injecting it under the skin. And it's going to paralyze the muscle, so prevent you from forming the wrinkle. If the wrinkle sits in the skin already, it might not go with Botox. And therefore, you're going to have regeneration treatment. So
what age should you start having Botox?
Oh, this is a difficult one. Because it's a prescription-only medicine. Obviously, we don't use it for prevention. It's only for treatment. It totally depends on you. If you start, if you're one of these people who has really strong frown lines, you know, the number 11s, you're in your mid-30s, they really bother you, they're starting to form, that's when you would start thinking, right, I need to do something maybe about this. If you have no lines on your face,
don't bother.
No toxin.
Is it ever too late to start?
Never.
So if you're, say, 70, you've got some wrinkles, I know Botox will help. Will it ever completely get rid of those?
No. Botox after the age of about 60 is quite difficult to cause regenerative changes, but it's never too late. Some of my most amazing clients are in their 70s.
Are they?
You can still get regenerative, beautiful changes. It's just not going to be with anything topical. It's always going to have to involve a needle. Last thing as well, if you want my go-to.
Yes.
LED phototherapy masks.
Oh, I've got one of those.
Good idea.
Oh, but I do it for 5 days and then I fall off the wagon and then it's in the cupboard.
Because all of the evidence is in excess of 8 weeks. So with red light therapy, all of the data is like 36% increase in collagen production after regular use at 8 weeks.
So get that mask on.
Get that mask on, especially if you've got fine lines and wrinkles or acne.
And what we'll do as well is put underneath, because I know some of them are quite punchy, expensive, and some you can get a bit of a bargain, but are the bargain ones doing anything? We'll get Sophie to put underneath on the socials and on YouTube. We'll put underneath which ones, a spend one and a save one.
Yes.
So we put all the tips. But
oh my
gosh.
Always a good idea. I know, I feel like we've got too much to talk about.
It's flown. Honestly, I know there is a lot to unpack in the skincare industry.
A lot to unpack.
It's the Wild West out there, really, isn't it?
It is the Wild West. And I think the most important thing is consistency. So consistency is almost as important as the products you use. So every morning, wash your face, use your toner, get your serum on and slap an SPF on. If that's all you do, you're halfway there.
And if you've got big fat pores like me, get your acid on as well.
Get your acid and a bit of microneedling. And ultimately, look after yourself. What you see on the outside has come from the inside.
Drink your water.
Drink your water. Don't smoke. Don't eat crap. Feed your body with good food. Nutrition's hugely important. And I think that everybody wants a quick fix. There is no quick fix.
That's me. I need to slow it down, and I need to play the long game.
Play the long game, and this is where people like, you know, whoever you go and see, aestheticians, you know, nurse prescribers, your doctors, whoever. It really isn't a bad idea. Most of them do free consultations. You can go, you can talk to them. You know, if you've got someone good, hold on to them because they're going to support you through your ages and they're going to kind of recommend products as your skin evolves with time.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
It's been brilliant. And like I said, we'll have the tips underneath from Sophie.
Yeah, for sure.
And you can find Sophie on Instagram at
Vale Skin Cowbridge.
Vale Skin Cowbridge.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share and tell your friends about this brand new podcast, Starting Over. And we will see you on the next episode.